Welcome to another episode of the Modern Father Podcast, episode 17. I am one half of your host, Marcus. The other half of your host is the De'Aaron Fox of podcasting. Benji, how you doing?
I like that. De'Aaron Fox, new Kobe.
Hell yeah.
Peace. Not new Kobe, but Kobe-like.
There you go.
Instinct player. I saw a thing today when they were like, is Jimmy Butler the last kind of Mamba mentality player in the league? And I thought of De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, he won that Clutch Player of the Year award, man. That guy's a monster right now. How's life been? What's new?
Oh man, this week was rough, dude. I don't know, like kids took steroids or something, dude. Everyone was off the chain this week. But the highlight of the week in the world of fatherhood, 2 hours ago, I made the baby giggle. She was getting it. That shit was hilarious. So that was cool. That was the first time I've heard her. Like, her mom has made her giggle, but I made her giggle today. So that was great after a long, shitty-ass week of exhausting and, like, walking around with this bum knee and then dealing with other folks' kids. To have that giggle at the end of the week was dope.
Hell yeah, man.
So I'm cool
it's
now.
So
I feel better.
too.
Changed my whole mood.
Nobody wants to hear a grumpy old man on a podcast.
Nah, ain't nobody want to do that. For that, right. You know what I'm saying? Go to the local diner. You can do it.
Exactly. That's where you go. Like, all your old people
side.
over there. That's a gang of old people in the diner.
Up.
Right?
What's up with you? How was this week?
Vegas Golden Knights was in the building last night as they completed the series against the Jets. Shout out to the Golden Knights. Other than that, man, just been working my keister off, just trying to get some school done, doing all that crazy stuff and post birthday clarity.
Keister?
Yeah, my keister. Oh yeah, keister. Instead of saying yo ass, because you're your keister. You know, I'm over here to keep it at PG. You know, but other than that, Clippers lost, so that was garbage. But then, good news, we got a sound bar for the TV finally, so we can finally hear that thing. So that's pretty dope. But I'll go into updates about my son later because that's going to be our modern father tip of the day.
Fight for things, then I will go pick up the groceries.
There's no groceries. I have
Steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's not a reasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first? Hillary, how do you respect the man? Yes, other than that, you see love comes back. No, other than that, no, you're not taking the cup.
Stephen,
You're not taking the cup.
Stephen,
You are not.
then I will ask them to pick me up. Would you like me to ask?
Oh, that's right.
It's not that, Stephen.
Get an Uber.
Okay, Stephen, I can't.
You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're going to take the car and leave me here. Hillary, just think of how boxed in you've made me.
What do you need me to pick up? I'll get it. I'll be back when I'm back.
There's been some crazy stuff going on in these crazy world, man. Get into our first topic, Steven Crowder. So everybody knows, if you don't know about Steven Crowder, he is a Republican pundit. And he works for one of those websites. I don't know if it's one of those Republican websites. I don't know. I don't go deep into politics too much, but he was a former comedian, and I guess he kind of flamed out during that. But he has a lot of followers on Twitter. He's very popular, and he's in a nasty divorce battle right now with his wife. And recently, his wife just put out a video that is very damning, and that shows him basically berating his wife just about her taking an Uber. She's 8 months pregnant during this whole thing, and he's holding that masculine frame, but, you know, he's just telling her, like, just basically almost got in her face and was like, you know, like, hey, you need to respect me and this and that. And the videos didn't look good. And her family released this and gave this to a reporter. When you get in arguments with your wife, tell the audience, how would you coach them and coach them up on how to argue with your spouse?
Our arguments have matured with our relationship maturing.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. We've definitely yelled at each other when we were younger. Legitimate, like, long-term dating is hard, right? You got two different people, and I would say especially living with that person. So we've only been married for like 2 years. It'll be 2 years this year. But we've lived together, you know, out in Colorado, Denver, by ourselves since 2016. So we're coming on like 7 years of living together. And our arguments have matured. Less arguments, more disagreements. So we are able to talk things out. We're still stubborn at times where one of us could be really upset, but we won't say shit, and it's just an awkward silence for an extended period of time until somebody croaks, and they like cave in, and then they start talking about whatever's bothering us or whatever the disagreement was. Those suck. I don't like those days. But I feel like, again, with maturity and more of understanding, those wait periods have shortened, and the conclusion to our disagreements have come better. You know what I mean? It's a real conversation, and again, sometimes it can be tough. Most of the time, we have disagreements on dumb shit, or I had an attitude because I had whatever, woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or I was tired and annoyed already. Same thing with her. I catch her on a bad day. But knowing when you're wrong, putting your pride to the side, focusing on the task at hand. The objective is to come to agreement of either we were both wrong, or one of us was wrong, or right, and there was miscommunication. What was the root cause of this? So we don't have to have this type of discussion again. What I saw in that video is definitely not where it's at. So you want to do the opposite of that.
Arguments are rough, man. I think it's definitely like catching people on a bad day. 'Cause if you have like an annoying work day and then like you just bring it into the house, and then all of a sudden, you're arguing over like some silly stuff that, should be an easy conversation. I think me in long term definitely have matured. I know there's certain things that I've tried not to say, no-go words, and when you're arguing, and there's certain things that you just definitely don't want to do when you're in an argument. So over time, like, I've definitely learned that, because like sometimes you say some like just really stupid, like offhanded stuff. I remember like our very first argument, man, like it was brutal. It's disrespectful, it's saying some disrespectful shit, it's like, so like I definitely matured in that category to where it's like, man, like I respect this woman a lot. Let's start, even if when I'm angry and I'm mad, I need to talk to her appropriately, because you don't want to say anything that it gets brought up again. You don't want to mention something that's personal, that's gonna get 3 years later. Hey, remember that time you told me this and this and this? Exactly. Like accountability, I think is huge. As a former coach, like I tell kids to take accountability for their actions on the court, on the field, wherever I'm coaching at. So then I myself have to practice also. Now, when it comes to long term, she's done a really good job of communicating like her wants and needs. And when she needs something, to address it early so it doesn't blow up. Because I remember it came to a point where she would hold it in, and then like when it happened like 2 or 3 times, then it was a blow up. Then it was like extremely angry at this right now, and I was like, why didn't you tell me this a couple months ago? She's gotten so much better at that. Just saying, hey, I need you to start helping me out with this so we can start doing this. And that has alleviated a lot of conflict between the two of us. Now, to address that video that got put out for Crowder, first of all, they know that video is there. Like, they know the camera's rolling. At that point, I think their marriage is over. I don't think she wanted that conflict, but she knew it was happening. They say some things, like they push these buttons a little bit more and like show the world like what this dude is really like. And for the court of public opinion, he's looking real bad right now, and there's got to be a point where you just get up and you just walk away, and I think Crowder handled this terribly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know this dude. I just heard of him, so I think in that moment, they're at their house, right, arguing.
Yeah.
So they know that he knows where the cameras are and where they're not. I think we got a glimpse of where his anger can take him when there's a disagreement. That's what you got a glimpse of, because knowing that there's a camera there, but you are that emotionally invested in what you're saying that you're not even thinking about your surroundings, and that there's a camera watching you. And that was a very emotional outburst this dude had on his wife over something, again, petty, telling her to take an Uber because he wants to run errands that could wait. And that's kind of scary, bro, because if you get berated for something simple like that, imagine like a real situation occurred. Mm-hmm. You're willing to take it that far for something so minimal. The disagreement and the response to that disagreement don't match. And I think that's to me, that's scary. That's where you run into like potential domestic violence.
Right.
Because again, small, insignificant things in the grand scheme of life, making you berate the mother of your child like that, you gotta fix some things with you, bro. It's not that wasn't that serious.
It's not so serious at all, and you're telling she's like 8 months pregnant with like twins, and you're telling her to go take an Uber. If that's
to
like,
go to the gym.
Right. That's that right there is like strike like number 1, 2, 3. You know, like you're out at that point. You know, just telling that she's carrying your children and you're over there treating her like that. That's crazy. Even if you do have things are going bad and rocky in your marriage and your relationship, you still don't tell your 8-month pregnant wife to go fetch an Uber. That's
And you're supposed to
insane.
be like, you know, Republicans pride themselves on being, you know, the traditional family, right? Like gatekeepers of the traditional family. So if you're that traditional, you should be wanting to ensure that your wife is safe and everything's good, and or she needs to go somewhere. Is that something you can do? You know what I mean? But to send her on an Uber and then talk to her all crazy and for nothing, just because you wanted to go to the gym.
Yeah, and he brought that up in like the video about her being more respectful, and you need to respect me, and things like that. And like
That's crazy.
that is crazy. And I saw this on Twitter. And I think half of Republicans are going in on him like, bro, like you can't do that. You know what I mean? If you are Republican leaning, that you don't accept this, because that's not how you treat, you know, not your spouse, and that's not how you treat like the person that you married. That's not how you treat your mother of your children. It's just a bad look, man. It's a bad look, and the court of public opinion is frying this dude right now, and like deservingly so.
Yeah, shit. He's, like I said, I don't know. Forget dude.
Yeah, right. I didn't even know about him until this whole incident just spurred up, you know, until everybody, like, until it came on my Twitter line.
Nah, I will forget you. I'm gonna say your name for the views.
right. We just say the name for the views.
Yeah,
and then so we get some Republicans saying, I think he's liberal, you know, dark skin. they probably support Bud Light. Reddit, parenting, and fatherhood. So Reddit is like a really good place for people to vent. I actually like it better than like Twitter. I like it better than Instagram. Like Reddit goes off. People are actually really honest about their experiences. It's where people can actually talk, and then, you know, they lay out their stuff, and whether it's good or bad, you're always going to see positive feedback. Twitter, people will be calling people out. Like, dude, Twitter gets out of control, man. I can't mess with Twitter too much, because like Twitter they be killing each other. So our first Reddit story is, my child was bullied at school. He had a jacket wrapped around his ankles while he was walking, and he subsequently fell on his face on the ground. He received a bruise on his face and a scratch on his arms. When he fell, his phone was in his front pocket and shattered as it hit the floor, and now it doesn't work. He's all right now physically, but what do I do about the phone? The school said they can't force the kid, who was reprimanded, to pay for the phone. The school did ask for an estimate for repair replacement, but that's it. What should happen? What do you think we'll start from a school perspective, and then we'll go from a parenting perspective.
So I know about this. This is a TikTok challenge. A bunch of kids are doing it now. Schools, especially I would say middle school. I've seen some high school kids do it. That shit is dangerous, man. Like, you can really hurt somebody. So given that the description that was provided by the Reddit, looking at my discipline matrix that I work off of, that was provided by our district, I think that would fall under bullying for sure. As far as school code goes, minor injuries could be seen as bullying depending on why he was doing that, because there has to be some type of intimidation factor. And the fact that it was physical, it would be, again, using my district as a reference, it would be bullying 2. Mm-hmm. Bullying 1 is verbal, bullying 2 would be physical. You said about the phone, right? And the price of the phone broke. That's hard. The parent would probably have to press charges. They'd have to take it through the courts. There really isn't much the school can do on that front. I mean, they can try to request the parent to pay for it, but that's a whole like civil suit battle, legal battle that they would have to fight on their own if they would like to pursue that. But as far as back to the school can go, a kid can get really hurt doing that, and it's crazy how quick charges can go up. So in the scenario I'm thinking of, kid A does this to kid B, right? Second kid falls, tries to break his fall, so not hitting his face like the kid in the first scenario. Lands on his wrist, has to go to the hospital, fractured wrist.
Ooh.
Now, that's assault.
Yes.
That's 3rd degree assault. The worst part is a parent has the right to press charges. So you can have charges pressed on you for something that you think is just a game or something fun and innocent. But because of that injury, you assaulted someone.
Goodness.
And kids don't know that. And parents don't know that. That's how they define. It's not necessarily the avenue or how the damage was created. It's the outcome of the damage that was as a result of the behaviors and actions in place that determined that. So that's crazy.
That is crazy. You're getting charged up for doing some
see,
stupid ass TikTok
something
challenge.
stupid. I mean, aggravated assault looks really serious, you know what I mean? And people automatically think you like jumped on somebody and beat them and you did this horrendous act. And you literally just did a TikTok challenge.
Right.
And that kid's parent is super upset and they want to make an example out of you. They have every right and they would win.
Right. As a parent, if that happened to my son, I would make an example out of him. If you're going to get a knock on the door, here comes ticket time. I'll see you in court. It'd be one thing, too, if my son was like, oh, hey, let's, play around and do this. And, he's, part of it. If he's getting pinned down and, hogtied and roped, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's trying to get away, and then that happened to him, then I'm throwing the book at these parents because, someone's got to be held responsible. And, I'm not going to pay these bills. It's one thing if he gets hurt, on a football field, then it's all right, I put my son in that. Situation. Yeah. I'm gonna pay for these bills. They're gonna pay for the phone. They're paying for the bills. I'm coming after you full force. I'm gonna teach you some responsibility to teach your kids to get off of TikTok and doing that dumb crap.
Yeah, like I said, it's unfortunate because something like that you think is not a big deal can turn into a big deal real quick.
I think the focal point too would be talking to your son, your daughter about TikTok challenges. Let them aware and this might be fun and games and it's cloud chasing at the end of the day. And if you really want to be socially accepted, do things that are, going to have more of a positive impact than doing stupid, dumb prank stuff. Stay away from this silly shit because at the end of the day, it just gets you in trouble.
Yeah, it's just unnecessary risk. There's enough risk around in the world. You don't need to add to it. So, yeah, unfortunate.
Agreed. Do you expect your kids to care for you when you're old? Now, this is a pretty long post. Right now, college is super expensive. So if we want to get our kids through college, by the time they're in school, 18 years from now, tuition's probably going to be close to maybe 70, 80, 90, maybe $100,000 a year. Just with inflation, being on campus, housing, food, getting them transportation around, whether that be a bus pass, trolley pass, wherever they're at, car, gas or electric, whatever it is, that it's going to be astronomical. So what's this price at at $90,000 to $100,000 a year?
I don't think it'll be that much.
You don't think it'd be that much? Because just depending on what school they go to.
I would say, just say it's a state school.
Okay.
I'd say you'll probably be looking at, because right now state schools, you can get into a state school for about in-state tuition, probably on campus.
Where though? Where? Because if you say CSU, let's say CSU where you're at.
Probably run you about $25,000 a year.
Okay. So now if I were to say,
I'd say in about 18 years, you probably look at maybe 40K. For a state school, right? So those
for
are
a state school.
This is what I'm saying for a state school. Yeah.
Okay, let's say average 40,000. Let's say 40K. You're right, 40K.
Yeah, 40, 50.
Yeah. Okay.
That'd still be a lot.
That's still a lot. So 4 years, you're $200,000 in, on the kid. So that's $200,000. So then we're talking about if I need care and that kid is gonna now start their career, are trying to start their career. They got their degree. They're out of college. Would it be okay for that kid, for me to be like, hey, son, I need you, or daughter, for you, stage 3 thyroid cancer, and I need you to take care of me right now?
I think it would be nice. I'm not going to expect it, though, just because I'm not trying to be a hamper on her life. I know too much about finances and the need to save and invest and, try to create wealth. There's no excuse for me not to get me to a point where I can take care of myself, for sure. I don't think I have an excuse for that. So I don't expect it. And I'm kind of experiencing that now where I have a little guilt because I'm not close to my grandmother, right? So I feel like I'm making progress in my career. You know, I'm living an independent life, but I feel obligated to help her because she's much more elderly than I would be when my kid is the age I am now. You know what I mean? So like when Adela's my age, I'll be 60, 66, right? Where my grandmother is 82. So it's a little different. So I feel obligated. I haven't been able to, you know what I mean, like in the style which I would like to, because she's stubborn and refuses to move to Colorado. But I wish I could do more for her, and I'm trying to put myself in a position to do so. But I don't feel like she would like it, but she doesn't expect it for me either. And I think that's where I got it from.
What do you think that care would look like?
For my grandmother?
Yeah.
I would love, I guess it looks different. Either I move her into a different place that's more accessible for her. I mean, she's getting really old. Stairs and stuff are getting kind of hard. So like either flat level or elevator, you know, something very easy to clean, keep up with. Somewhere convenient, that would be one. Or the other option would be her living with me.
Yeah, because I would say the same thing for my pops, you know, who's in town. And I always tell him, for right now, his level of care, because he's 67, is just me just coming over periodically. You know, he loves, you know, little man. So, like, you know, I give him time with little man and everything like that. But as he's going to age, like, I'm thinking, like, hey, like, you know I'm 30 minutes away. I get scared. Because he's already had like one heart attack already, and if he wasn't around people, like, he wouldn't be here. So that to me scares the living daylights out of me, because like I don't want to call him one day and just like, you know, him not respond. So you know, constant check-ins I think is what it looks like right now. But like if he ever needed anything, I would definitely move him in. I don't care like if he just doesn't want to or not. You know, like I would move him in and like he just stay in the guest bedroom. Long term, works from home. I know after we find little man childcare, I'll still be working from home. I'll take care of him like any means necessary. Because like I just think shout out to people who do this. You know what I mean? Like I my personal opinion about the old folks homes. No, I don't want my dad in one of those homes. I don't. Even though he'd probably be macking in there, you know, he'd probably be in there like smashing all the old broads in there. I could definitely see him putting in work.
You know, places like that have the highest STD rates.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yeah, man. So I don't want him in one of those places. You know, like.
I mean, I wouldn't. You know what though? I wouldn't never say never, man.
You wouldn't never say never?
Because if you got like the benefits and you can afford a cool one, it's like being in a college dorm all over, but old as shit.
Yep.
Cause I've seen some other ones, it's like little viejo homes, and like some of them are chill. Like there's one in Chicago up at Humboldt Park, and you just see the little viejos playing dominoes and chess every day outside. And I was like, it's kind of adorable. But then you got like the bougie ones where they actually have like good activities. They have nice living quarters. But then you got the project one. One of my grandma's brother was in one. That shit looked like a big ass project building.
Yeah, no,
it was massive. I was like, bro, this thing is huge. It's just like a massive project building of old folks.
Right, it's the Carter.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, man. And it was like, it was funny. Like we go visit him, and he'd tell us all about the gossip in the building and who was doing what. And I was like, y'all like bunch of old wrinkled ass kids in here just talking shit all day, taking medicine.
Smashing.
Yeah, and bothering the staff and like, what are y'all doing, bro? Like you said, y'all never grew up, man.
You ain't lying about never say never though, because maybe he might want to go to one too.
Yeah.
So I gotta do what's best for him. You know, like you ain't lying. I should never say never. It's just say, all right, I would want him to be with me, but if he would want to go out like that, then you know, hey, like I'll just be a daily visitor. You know, go up there and pull up and. You know, say what's up and ask.
I'm trying to get away from everybody. I told my wife, like, we calm, bro. we're gonna be back on the run. I don't want no one near us. Like we're gonna have us a small condo somewhere with a view.
Either that, or if long term goes out, send me to the nursing home so I can go out there and do some dirty back. All right, next one. New father sadness, and this is our last one because this one's kind of sad. And this guy says he is a father of a 9-month-old, right around like where we're at. And I know this isn't the first post addressing this, but feeling plagued of late for periods of profounding, deliberating sadness. They started right from the birth, where the stress of the delivery, plus not feeling any kind of connection, love, bond, set me way down. Felt like a sociopath for not feeling immediate joy and amazement. Though have come to learn that this is common among fathers. At any rate, these spells of sadness turned me from a normal motivated guy into a listless, go through the motions, irritable dad and partner. I have a history of some depression, and when I know predisposes me from this degree, but this feeling is different to depression. So it just goes on. He's on the verge of crying, and then like he says, my career. He talks about his career and how like the radical change affected his career. This is really hard on him, and he says he exercised, he socialized, and he curbed alcohol, and it helped him to some degree. But it's still he has those feelings of discomfort that he can't shake. And what would you say to this father who's going through this currently right now?
I mean, to give him like real personalized advice, I'd have to know more about him, because I mean, he mentions like I've already been dealing with depression, so I would be curious to know if he has overcame that depression, right, or whatever, or if he solved whatever was causing him to be depressed prior to the child, or is this something that just kind of piled on? Is he more anxious? Because I don't think he has. I don't know if he could be depressed or anxious and he doesn't know the difference. He just knows he feels bad, and the last time he felt bad, it was labeled as depressed. But he could be anxious too, because it seems like he doesn't know really what to expect with his first child. So it could be more anxiety that's causing him to kind of shut down, feel like he's just going through the motions, always on edge. So he probably hit some exhaustion. If he didn't know anything about parenting ahead of time, like, I mean, you came into this blind, you're gonna be exhausted. You're gonna get a run for your money. All those like parenting classes and stuff, some of that stuff is very useful, especially if you're not necessarily well equipped or you feel ready to have a child. I think the hard thing too is just knowing like your whole life is different now. You are stepping into a whole different life. It's not about you, so you got to be ready to be less selfish. So who knows if he was ready for that. When it comes to your partner, you guys kind of both do this to each other, but maybe it's hitting him harder. Like the child comes before both of you, But I feel for him. Like, I'm definitely days where I'm down. There's definitely days where I don't feel like myself. There's definitely days where I wouldn't say I question myself if I'm ready for this. But yeah, I mean, there are days where I just want to go and I want to chill and I want to do what I used to do. And I'm only 3 months in, right? There are days, just the simple things, right? Like my wife was explaining to me earlier, like she went out to the store with the baby, and because she forgot one thing, it added 30 extra steps. A 2-second process that used to take her, she could run in and out, took her an extra 10 minutes. Like that, and that became, that frustration builds because you're like, yes. Oh man.
Yeah, man. Parenting's hard. Parenting is hard, and if anybody tells you different, they're lying. You lying ass. You tell me the truth. Tell me what's really going on. First of all, I wish he had somebody to talk to that would help him instead of posting it on Reddit. Because I kind of see like posting that on Reddit would be kind of like for me it would be a last resort. You know what I mean? Like I would call you. I would call the homies back in San Diego. I would call my cousin out in Baltimore. Like I would call a crap ton of people before I post that on Reddit. Just try to get a feel of like, hey man, like I'm going through this. Have you ever gone through this before? Because like I know like those are like my trusted like voice. Those are my people that will help me through this process because I know they're fathers and they also felt the same way and they've also probably gone through this. So I would lean on them. And so I hope he's leaning on somebody who has actually been through this stuff before. Second thing is, I would say too, is that I don't think, and I don't want to make judgments because I don't want to make judgments about this man, but I think you had a point too of where I don't think he did like kind of the prep work before the baby was born, of like knowing the ins and outs of like or getting like a simple idea of like how this is gonna be. And even with me, like I didn't know how this was gonna be, especially with my whole career changing, you know, my whole roles as in my relationship changing. I had a slight clue, but I didn't know it was going to be to that amount. But just having that slight clue prepared me that, okay, like I knew this was going to be hard, and now this is really, really hard. And now I can make the adjustments, and I can try to take care of myself. And I hope he does that self-work, you know, whether, because I think he said he's talking to a therapist. So if he's talking to a therapist, that, and then also just being able to air out his feelings with people who are not going to judge him.
Yeah, I mean, and I hope I hope he's able to have a conversation with the mother of his child too. Mm-hmm. Because she's also going through it. So, I would hope that they have that opportunity to talk to each other and be there for one another. And just understanding, like, any significant life change is going to have an emotional toll on you, whether it's good, bad, you know, anxious, you know, all the feelings, right? All the feels. It's still a major turning point in your life that it's never going to be back to where it was.
I think we need to normalize postpartum just depression for men. We do, because every man goes through what he's going through, but I don't think to like the severity. But like you said, I think every man does go and sees what are the next steps, how do I get through this. And I hope him and his partner are going through this together. And I feel really bad. The part that makes me super sad about the story is that it's affecting his relationship with his kid. What's up?
He has a boy.
Would you think it would be different with a girl?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Cairo. I examine the relationship between you and Cairo versus long-term in Cairo. It's totally different. And I would say I'm actually really happy I have a girl first. Because I could see, like, you know, having a little mama's boy. I don't think it would impact me as much as this guy is being impacted. Right. Because I understand that, again, that, you know, opposites are attracted to one another. Yep. Right. So it's the same thing with kids. You know, daddy's girl, mama's boy. Yeah. So I don't have that same experience. And then if I do have a boy one day, I've already had my little girl. So I think my wife would have more opportunity to kind of have the moments that I have. Right. With my daughter that she doesn't necessarily share. Right. Because I feel like they bicker more, and then she chills with me. Yeah. This is, since I'm like the primary, it's kind of, me and him have like we have a great relationship. Like, for me, it's just like, hey, this is my little road dog. This is my little homie. Yeah. Like, wherever I go, he goes. You know, it's definitely my buddy. He's my little Cabbage Patch Kid. You know, he's going with me wherever. And especially, like, for me, like, I think I'm going at it with a different motivation. This is my second go around at this, and like I want to make sure I get this right. So that's why like I'm like just gun ho about this and poised and focused. And I hope he finds. Mission. Yeah, oh, dude, it's domination. It's a domination mission, and I will complete this mission. You know, like there's absolutely no failure that's gonna happen in this mission, and that's my approach. So that's why I wake up every morning, and when I see him, it's like he's popped up on the crib, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, oh, dude, like I just get fired up because like it's like, all right, let's go about this day. Let's do this. I'm happy, excited each and every morning to be around this kid, and I hope this guy in this Reddit gets to feel that, you know, and I hope he finds his purpose and finds, you know, a way out of that dark situation, that dark cloud. Absolutely. And then, but also, again, on the other side of the spectrum, I gave you the example of if he was doing all these things, right? Again, we don't know this person close enough. If this dude's a goofy from the jump, then you need to man up, because that could also be it too, man. There's a lot of grown children with facial hair out in the world who have like this kind of pity me mentality, and Again, they can be on the internet too, and they will post something similar to this, but they've been making excuses their entire lives. So I ain't gonna sit here and I ain't gonna hold your hand. I ain't that type of psychologist. That's not my style, because there's a lot of goofy ass dudes out here who make excuses for themselves, who never put in the hard work, quit on everything they've ever tried, and now that the fact that they feel obligated, that they have to do something about it, and we're listening to people who don't always put in the work.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, man, and that's why you got to listen to the Modern Father podcast so you can get that bitch ass energy out of you, and come out here and cuff the balls and man up, because like it's tough out here, but at the same time, that's why I said earlier to post it on the internet. I wouldn't do it, man.
Yeah, you shouldn't do it. Post it on Twitter instead.
Get them trolls on you. Yeah, man, you're a podcast.
Yo, Goofy, shut up. We don't want to hear that shit. Shut up.
Man up.
That's all you're gonna hear. People talking shit. Then you'll have everybody after you. Then you'll have a group of women like, they're trying to take postpartum depression.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody else is gonna say something stupid, and then it's gonna turn into a sex war. Then somehow it's gonna turn into, this is a Democratic opinion versus a Republican opinion. Then it's gonna, you know what I mean? It's gonna evolve into a whole. It's like playing telephone. It just gets more ludicrous as the retweets go, right? And
becomes a race war.
And then,
he's black.
Yeah, then he's like, oh, it's not. Yeah, and then he's black.
Oh, this guy's Hispanic.
He's black, but then he's not really black because he's Dominican. And
right.
He's
Afro-Latino. Yeah. Oh man, man. It just morphs into all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, don't post your stuff on the internet like that, man. Like not that stuff. You're not gonna get the right advice. Go seek some proper help. And with that said, after you seek that proper help, what are you gonna do?
Man, you're gonna go home. You're gonna sit on the toilet. Then you're gonna read all the tweets about you because you put your story on Twitter and everyone's flaming you up. Then you gotta defend yourself and argue with people with 3 likes, or they have 3 followers, and they don't even have a real picture of themselves. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then once you're done scrolling for about an hour, your legs are staticky and dead because you've just been sitting there, not even doing nothing. You're gonna jump in the shower. You're gonna take that loofah. You're gonna put extra soap on it because you're extra salty because Twitter just tore you up. You're gonna soap it all up and wash that ass.
Oh man, preferably with a wash rag or a loofah. Get your personal shit offline and listen to the Modern Father so we can talk about you on the internet. Your stuff on the internet. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you can't catch us on YouTube, make sure you catch us on anywhere you get your podcast. Thanks again, everybody.
Y'all take care.
Peace.
Peace.